The preacher's search for meaning. And today we'll be talking about the other side of he's still searching for meaning in his life. We can see that in the chapter 2 that we have read. Our previous lesson noted that how the preacher began his search for meaning in life, right? Observing the futility seen in the cycles of nature. We can see that in verses 4 to 11 of chapter 1. Let me reread that for us. One generation passeth away, and then another generation cometh. But the earth abideth forever. But the sun also ariseth, and the sun goeth down, and hasteth to his place where he arose. The wind goeth toward the south, and turneth about unto the north, and whirleth about continually. And the wind returneth again according to his circuits. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. Unto the place from whence the rivers come, hither they return again. All things are full of labor, man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. The thing that had been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? See, this is new. It had been already of all time which was before us. There was no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are come to those, with those that shall come after. Now in verses 12 to 18, we can see the beginning of human wisdom. And the preacher was asked, I, the preacher, was king over Israel and Jerusalem, and I gave my heart to seek and search out by wisdom and concerning all things that are done under the sun. The sore travail had God given to the sons of men to be exercised therewith. I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and vexation of spirit. That which is crooked cannot be made straight, and that which is wanting cannot be numbered. I commune with mine own heart, saying, Lo, I am come to great estate, and have gotten more wisdom than all they that have been before me in Jerusalem. Yeah, my heart had great experience of wisdom and knowledge, and I gave my heart to know wisdom, and to know madness and folly. I perceive that this is also vexation of spirit. For in much wisdom is much grief, and he that increases knowledge increases sorrow. Having already been blessed with great wisdom from God, which he used to search out the value of human wisdom. His conclusion concerning such wisdom is providing the answer. Trying to find the answer in human wisdom was grasping for the wind. Such wisdom was source of much grief and sorrow. So he began to look elsewhere. In the second chapter, we read of his efforts to explore the value of mirth, pleasure, wine, folly. Of his search, he began to search to find meaning in the acquisition of wealth and in great accomplishments. We can see that in the verses that we read. He accumulated a bunch of things. He accumulated riches. He accumulated, gardens, pools. He accumulated servants, even servants that are born in his own house. But did he find an answer there? If not, what conclusion did he reach? In this lesson, we shall simply allow the preacher to tell us for himself. We first note, the preacher he is a preacher tested in his life. He summarizes what he found. Mirth and pleasure is vanity. We can see it in verse 1 of Ecclesiastes chapter of our text. Ecclesiastes chapter 2. I said in mine heart, Go to now, I will prove thee with mirth. Therefore enjoy pleasure, and behold, this is also vanity. Laughter is madness. Mirth accomplishes little, if anything. He describes what he did. He experimented with wine and folly. Sought in my heart to give myself unto wine, yet acquainting mine heart with wisdom, and to lay hold on folly, that I might see what was good for the sons of men, which they should do under the heaven, all the days of their life. He experimented with wine and folly. Using the wisdom he had, he sought to find what was truly good for people, to do under heaven all the days of their life. He experimented in himself, with himself, with wine, with folly, trying to see what would happen, trying to see what they would do with it during their time here on earth. For he was seeking to find what was truly good for people to do under heaven all the days of our lives. He made many things. In verses 46, we can see that he made houses, vineyards, gardens, orchards, water pools. Let's see in 1 Kings chapter 7. I'm reading quite a few. 1 Kings chapter 7, verses 1 to 12, if you can follow me silently. Solomon was building his own house 13 years, and he finished all his houses, all his house. He built also the house of the forest of Lebanon. The length thereof was 100 cubits, and the breadth thereof 50 cubits, and the height thereof 30 cubits. Upon 4 rows of cedar pillars, cedar beams upon the pillars, and it was covered with cedar upon the beams that lay on 45 pillars, 15 in a row. And there were windows in 3 rows, and light was against light in 3 ranks. And all the doors and posts were square with the windows, and light was against light in 3 ranks. And he made a porch of pillars. The length thereof was 50 cubits, and the breadth thereof 30 cubits, and the porch was before them. The other pillars and the thick beam were before them. Then he made a porch for the throne where he might judge, even the porch of judgment, and it was covered with cedar from one side of the floor to the other. And his house where he dwelt had other court within porch, which was of the like work. Solomon made also a house for Pharaoh's daughter, whom he had taken to wife like unto his porch. All these were of costly stones, according to the measures of hewed stones, sawed with saws and without, even from the foundation unto the coping, and so on the outside toward the great court. And the foundation was of costly stones, even great stones of 10 cubits, and stones of 8 cubits. And above were costly stones after the measures of hewed stones and cedars. And the great courtroom was with 3 rows of hewed stones and a row of cedar beams, both for the inner of the house of the Lord and for the porch of the houses. You can see here, he's built quite a few buildings here, from one court to the other, one house to the other. Each has like different types of, it has porches. It's definitely not. It took him 13 years to build his house. We're chapter 9, verses chapter 9, verses 15 to 19 of, and this is the reason of the levy which King Solomon raised for to build the house of the Lord and his own house in Millo and the wall of Jerusalem and Hazor and Megiddo and Gezer. For Pharaoh, king of Egypt, had gone up and taken Gezer and burnt it with fire and slain the Canaanites that dwelt in the city and given it for a present unto his daughter, Solomon's wife. And Solomon built Gezer and Beth Horon, the nether, and Baalath, and Tadmor, and the wilderness, and the land. And all the cities of store that Solomon had, the cities for his chariots, cities for his horsemen, and that which Solomon desired to build in Jerusalem and in Lebanon, and in all the land of dominion. We can see here, this is, he made many things. He built many things. He acquired whatever he desired pretty much in his life, trying to find what the meaning of life is. In verses 5 to 8 of Ecclesiastes. Put the wrong mark. There you go. Verses 5 to 6. I made me gardens and orchards, and I planted trees in them of all kind of fruits. I made me pools of water to water therewith the wood that bringeth forth trees. I got me servants and maidens. I had servants born in my house. Also I had great possessions of great and small cattle above all that were in Jerusalem before me. I gathered me also silver and gold and peculiar treasure of kings and of the provinces. I got me men singers and women singers and the delights of the sons of men as musical instruments, and that of all sorts. He acquired whatever he desired, such as servants, livestock, silver, gold, treasures, singers, and the delights of the sons of men. Concubines or musical instruments, depending. Notice that he, in his search for meaning of life, he wanted to see what is going to give meaning to his life. Is it going to be music? Is it going to be, is it going to be having all these wealth, all of these, buildings, all of these to show forth to every people that what he has, that glory. He became great and seemed to be happy. So I was great and increased more than all that were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me. And whatsoever mine eyes desired, I kept not from them. I withheld not my heart from any joy, for my heart rejoiced in all labor, and this was my portion of all my labor. The city sees him. The sea sees what he has done. Even kings notice what he has done. Greater than any before him, while maintaining his wisdom. He seemed happy, having all his eyes and his heart desired, finding enjoyment in his labor. But what is his conclusion for what he did? On reflection, looking back at what he did, in verse 11, then I look at all the works that my hands had wrought, and all the labors that I had labored to do, and behold, all was vanity and vexation of spirit, and there was no profit under the sun. He concluded that all was vanity and only grasping for the wind. That there was no profit under the sun. All that he acquired, all that he had built, even with the wisdom that he has, all is vanity and grasping for wind. The conclusion drawn by the preacher may seem strange when he admitted that he found joy in his labor. We see it in verse 10. But when we consider what he says next, we begin to understand why after his great experiments, the preacher hated life. After reflecting upon wisdom, madness, and folly, he realized his unique opportunity, who can do more than what he has done. He considered the relative merits of wisdom, madness, and folly. In verse 12, I turned to myself, behold, wisdom and madness and folly. For what can the man do that cometh after the king, even that which he had already done? He saw that wisdom was better than folly. In verses 13 to 14, then I saw that wisdom excelled folly as far as light excelled at darkness. The wise man's eyes are in his head. Just as the light is better than darkness, he sees that, his wisdom is better than folly. That having wisdom is better than, being confused, being miserable. At least the wise man can see where he is going. Just as light is better than darkness. Ultimately, the advantage of human wisdom is vanity. And I myself perceive, but the fool walketh in darkness, and I myself perceive also that one event happened to them all. Verse 15, then I said in my heart, as it happened to the fool, so it happened even to me. And why was I then more wise? Then I said in my heart that this is also vanity. This also is vanity. There is no remembrance of the wise were more than of the fool forever. Even with great wisdom, he found himself as to that which to the fool. For both the wise man and the fool die, After that, there is no more remembrance of the wise than of the fool. Thus the preacher hated life, because all the work done under the sun was grievous to him. That vanity, the life, everything that he has done is vanity and only grasping for the wind. Verse 17, therefore I hated life, because the work that is wrought under the sun is grievous unto me, for all is vanity and vexation of spirit. After all these things, after everything that he has done, he considered himself the same as a fool. He still felt miserable. He hated life. After reflecting upon his wealth, he came to hate his labor. Verses 18 to 19. Yeah, I hated all my labor which I had taken under the sun, because I should leave it unto the man that shall be after me. And who knoweth whether he shall be a wise man or a fool? Yet shall he have rule over all my labor wherein I have labored, and wherein I have shewed myself wise under the sun. This is also vanity, because he must leave everything to one person, to another person after him. But he didn't know who was going to follow him. Is it going to be another wise person like he did? Is he going to be the same? Is he going to have the same character, the same wisdom, and the same demeanor as him? Or is it going to be another person who is a fool? Because he must leave it to one after him. Who knows whether those who inherit will be wise or foolish. Someone else will rule over all the results of his labor. He came to despair of all his labor under the sun. Therefore I went about to cause my heart to despair of all the labor which I took under the sun. For there is a man whose labor is in wisdom and in knowledge and in equity. Yet to a man that had not labored therein shall he leave it for his portion. This is also vanity and a great evil. For what had man of all his labor and of the vexation of his heart, wherein he had labored under the sun? For all his days sorrows, and his travail grief. Yea, his heart taketh not rest in the night. This is also vanity. He hated what he had accomplished. He hated his labor. He came to despair all of his labor under the sun. In the end, what does he have for all this effort? Sorrowful days, restless nights, grievous work, leading to vanity. Looking at life under the sun, trying to find meaning in this life, for all the one's labor, the preacher came to hate and despair all of his great efforts. But as he said, my wisdom remained with me. We can see that in verse 9 of chapter 2. So I was great and increased more than all that were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained in me. Without wisdom, he shares for the first time what one should do in life as he does. And as he does so, we see that the preacher accepted life. Man should seek to enjoy the good in his labor. There is nothing better. A conclusion he will draw 6 times. In verse 24. There is nothing better for a man that he should eat and drink, that he should take his soul, enjoy good in his labor. This is also I saw that it was from the hand of God. In chapter 3, verses 12 to 13 of Ecclesiastes. I know that there is no good in them, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life, and also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy good of all his labors, it is the gift of God. Verse 22, wherefore I perceive that there is nothing better than that a man should rejoice in his own works, for that is his portion. For who shall bring him to see what shall be after him? Chapter 5, verses 18 to 19 of Ecclesiastes. Behold, that which I have seen, it is good and comely for one to eat and drink and to enjoy the good of all his labor, that he take it under the sun all the days of his life, which God giveth him, for it is his portion. Every man also to whom God had given riches and wealth, and had given him power to eat thereof, and to take his portion, and to rejoice in his labor, this is the gift of God. Chapter 8 and verse 15. A few more verses. Chapter 8 and verse 15. Then I commended mirth, because a man had no better thing under the sun than to eat and to drink and to be merry, for that shall abide with him of his labor the days of his life, which God giveth him under the sun. Chapter 9, verses 7 to 9. Go thy way, eat thy bread with joy, and drink thy wine with a merry heart, for God now accepteth thy works. Let thy garments be always white, and let thy head lack no ointment. Live joyfully with the wife whom thou lovest all the days of all the days of the life of thy vanity, which he had given thee under the sun, all the days of thy vanity. For that is thy portion in this life, and in thy labor which thou takest under the sun. The preacher is not prompting the fatalist view of let's eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. It's not what he is saying. He is saying to enjoy what you do and what God has given you. 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 17. First Timothy chapter 6 verse 17. Charge them that are rich in this world that they be not high-minded, nor trust in certain riches, but in the living God who giveth us richly all things to enjoy. The preacher Solomon is not telling you to have a carpe diem type of life, or YOLO for a lot of people. He's saying that enjoy what God has given you. Enjoy the things that you do. The ability to enjoy one's labor is a gift from God. He saw the ability to enjoy one's labor is a gift from God. We can see in verse 24 of chapter 2. There is nothing better for a man that he should eat and drink, and that he should make his soul enjoy good in his labor. This also I saw, that it was from the hand of God. It was a gift of God. For no one can truly enjoy life without God. To those in his sight, God gives wisdom, knowledge, and joy. To the sinner, God gives the work of gathering and collecting. To give to the one who is good before God. For the sinner, his work therefore becomes vanity and grasping for the wind. Yes, some are very successful in accumulating wealth, but for what end? For the first time, the preacher has introduced God into the picture. Up to now, he has looked at life under the sun without God. He looked at it in his own point of view. I was like, he drank, he accumulated as much as he can. He even experimented with misery, with folly. He has sought for meaning through, and now he has sought meaning. He has sought meaning through wisdom, folly, madness, pleasure, and wealth. Even when successful, the realities of life and death can cause one to hate life. He could only conclude that under the sun, all is vanity and grasping for wind. But now with God giving wisdom and knowledge and joy to a man, one can enjoy the good in his labor. A purpose and meaning for life is now possible. He has added God into the picture. He added God's wisdom. He asked for wisdom in order to be a good judge to those that he has, to everyone around him. Now he has added God in his search for meaning. The purpose and meaning for life will be developed further as we make our way through the book. In the meantime, since God gives wisdom and knowledge and joy to a man who is good in his sight, have you considered what is essential to please him? One begins with faith. In Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6, and we will close with this. But without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he who comes to God must believe that he is the rewarder of those who diligently seek him. Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for this day, for this message, Lord. We pray that you continue to give us wisdom in our everyday lives. Pray, Lord, continue to guide us in our everyday decision making. Continue to mold us to the Christian that you want us to be. Thank you, Lord, for the life of Solomon, for the message that we have heard today. Pray that we have received your what you had in store for us today. As we go home, Lord, may you guide us and protect us. May you keep us safe. Again, Lord, we want to praise and thank you. In Christ's most precious name we pray. Amen.